Hey guys, welcome back to Alleviated Soul. So today we are going to start with next chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Dhruva Maharaja Canto 4. The four Kumaras, Narada, Rubhu, Hamsa, Aruni and Yati were all sons of Brahma who left home to live as Naistika Brahmacharis, lifelong celibates. Adharma, which is irreligion, was also born from Brahma, and he married Mrisa, falsity, who happened to be his sister. They produced two demons named Dambha, which is bluffing, and Maya, which is cheating, who were then handed over to the demon Nirti, who had no children. From Dambha and Maya were born Lobha, which is greed, and Nikriti, which is cunning. In turn, from their combination came Krodha, which is anger, and Himsa, which is envy, and from their union came Kali and his sister Durukti, which is harsh speech. By the combination of Kali and Durukti, Mrityu, death, and Bhiti, fear, were born. Then, from the union of these two was born Yatana, which is excessive pain, and Niraya, which is hell. Altogether, these offspring are considered to be the causes of devastation. Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa had two sons, Priyavrata and Uttanapada. Although King Uttanapada had two queens named Suniti and Suruchi, the latter was much dearer to him. Once Uttanapada was petting Suruchi's son Uttama as he sat upon his lap. Suniti's son Dhruva also was trying to climb up onto Uttanapada's lap, but the king did not very much welcome him. The king was naturally inclined to treat both sons equally, but due to Suruchi's presence, he acted in a way that would please her. Suruchi could understand this, and because she was very envious of her stepson, who took undue advantage of her husband's favoritism, displaying this feminine weakness, proud Suruchi spoke so that both father and son could hear. My dear Dhruva, you do not deserve to sit upon the throne or the king's lap. Of course, you are also the king's son, but because you were not born from my womb, you are not qualified to sit upon your father's lap. You may be unaware of the distinction between your father's two queens, but let me assure you that your attempt is doomed to failure. If you at all desire to sit upon the throne, you should first perform austerities to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. Then, after achieving his favor, you may get the opportunity of being born from my womb in your next life. Just as a snake begins to breathe very heavily when struck by a stick, so Dhruva began breathing heavily due to great rage after being attacked by his stepmother's harsh words. Seeing how his father had remained silent without making the slightest effort to protest on his behalf, Dhruva immediately left that place and went crying to his mother. When Suniti saw her son crying grievously, his lips trembling with rage, she lifted him onto her lap to comfort him. At that time, the palace residents who had overheard Suruchi's cruel words came there and related everything to her, so that Suniti also became very unhappy. Indeed, She found the insult to be unbearable, and thus she began to burn as if in a forest fire. While thinking over the words of her co-wife, Suniti's bright, lotus-like face became pale and her eyes filled with tears. Breathing heavily, she thought for a moment about what could be done to remedy the situation. Finding no solution, however, she finally said, "My dear Dhruva, you should not wish for harm to befall others, because anyone who inflicts pain upon another person ends up suffering himself. My dear boy, all that Suruchi has said is actually true, because your father does not even consider me worthy of being his maid servant, and so what to speak of his wife? He feels ashamed to accept me, and thus it is a fact that you have been born from the womb of an unfortunate woman. Although unpalatable to hear, whatever your stepmother has said is true. Therefore, if you at all hope to sit upon your father's throne, you must give up your enviousness and immediately try to execute her instructions. Without further delay, engage yourself in worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose grace your great-grandfather, Lord Brahma, was able to create this entire universe. Similarly, your grandfather, Swayambhuva Manu, achieved great material success and ultimate liberation by worshipping the Supreme Lord. My dear boy, the Supreme Lord is very kind to his devotees, and thus you should situate him within your heart and engage in his devotional service without deviation. I do not see how anyone except the Lord can mitigate your distress, and certainly I am unable to help you. Therefore, go and approach the Supreme Lord, for he is kinder than millions of mothers, and he can help one when all else fails. Suniti's instructions were actually meant for fulfilling his desired objective, and so after careful consideration of the matter with good intelligence, Dhruva left home and went to the forest. When he received news of Dhruva's activities and fixed determination, Narada was astonished and decided to pay the boy a visit. After coming before Dhruva in the forest, Narada touched him on the head with his all-auspicious hand and said, "How wonderful is the Kshatriya spirit! They cannot tolerate even a slight infringement upon their prestige." My dear Dhruva, you are just a little boy who is attached to play. Since children have no conception of honor and dishonor, why are you so affected by your stepmother's harsh words insulting your honor? My dear boy, even if you feel dishonored, you should not be disturbed. You should understand that the material dualities are simply a feature of the illusory energy of the Lord. Whatever may befall us is the result of our past actions, and thus should be accepted as the mercy of the Lord. Under instruction from your mother, you have decided to practice mystic yoga for achieving the mercy of the Supreme Lord. However, in my opinion, this is not possible for any ordinary man, and so what to speak of a small boy? Even great yogis have failed to achieve success after many births of yoga practice, and so I recommend that for now you return home. Later on, when you are grown up, you will certainly get the chance to perform the mystic yoga system. My dear Dhruva, a person should always try to remain satisfied in whatever happy or distressful condition of life he finds himself in, for this will enable him to easily cross over the darkness of nescience. The great sage Narada had come to Dhruva under the instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to initiate him. First, however, Narada tested Dhruva's sincerity and determination, for that is the duty of a spiritual master. After hearing Narada's instructions, Dhruva replied, "O great sage, you have certainly given very good directions whereby persons who are disturbed by the material condition of life can achieve peace of mind. Due to my being covered by ignorance, however, such philosophy does not touch my heart. I know that I am very impudent for not accepting your advice, but I do not actually consider this to be my fault, for I was born in a Kshatriya family. My heart is like a clay pot, which once having been broken cannot be repaired by any means. After being pierced by the arrow-like words of my stepmother, my heart feels so wounded that I can only think of counteracting the insult. It is for this reason that I cannot take your words seriously. They are intended for those who possess a Brahminical spirit. I want to occupy a position that is more exalted than anything yet achieved by anyone within the three worlds. Even my father, grandfather, or great-grandfather. Therefore, kindly advise me about an honest path whereby I can achieve this difficult goal." My dear Narada, just like the sun, you travel throughout the universe to benefit everyone. Please be merciful and thus enable me to fulfill my ardent desire. Upon hearing Dhruva's words, Narada became very compassionate toward him. To show him mercy, he replied, "Your mother, Suniti, had instructed you to follow the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and this is just suitable for you. Even those who desire the fruit of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha should engage in such devotional service, for worship of the Lord's lotus feet yields their fulfillment." The next part will be continued in the next video. Thank you for listening.